just because he looked at the girl with the heart monitor a little too long. The poor guy caught the attention of the rich guy. He invited the poor guy to the party, and also brought along that beautiful girl. But with such a fatal crime, how could Miles agree? Yet the poor man who couldn't even afford college, accepted the invitation out of a desire to change his fate. As the champion of this town's motorcycle race, Miles thought he still had some bargaining power. But what he really got was the rich guy's minions, secretly switching the gasoline in his motorcycle. This caused him to lose power during a super jump, ultimately crashing down a hill. Miles was so badly hurt that even the rich guy's friends felt some sympathy, but not a single person put down their phone to help. The rich guy was very pleased. He once promised he'd make Miles famous with his oil connections. He felt he wasn't breaking his word. In a good mood, the rich guy was ready to go back and even leave behind the sport cameras meant for Miles. However, the photographer reminded him that abandoning someone in the wild could lead to serious consequences. Although the rich guy was unhappy, seeing Miles still twitching on the ground made him worried about causing a death. So, he left a tank of gasoline and some survival gear. The group then dispersed. After thrashing around for a while, Miles finally came around. He watched them leave with a face full of hatred, but had no thoughts of revenge. It sounded quite pitiful. A hero cannot only mess up a person's day, but life. It can also greatly improve a person's resilience. However, because of this, Josef's fate was about to change dramatically. From a distance, a light sound came from a container. Curious, Miles walked up, lightly tossing a couple of stones, but getting no response. He carefully opened the big door and stepped in. Little did he know, he was stepping into a trap. In the darkness, a pair of red eyes stared at him. An airplane roared, scaring Miles so much that he turned and ran. He swiftly got on his motorcycle, sped down the mountain road, and crawled up a slope to safety. Miles had no intention of running away. The worst was over. This meant opportunity. He didn't know if today was his lucky day or a disaster, but he felt it was still better than nothing. He slowly slid down the slope, but the shadow of that monster was nowhere to be seen. With quick thinking, his motion camera caught the monster's shadow on the slope. However, before he could react, the monster immediately charged at him without hesitation. A complete ambush. But instead of escaping, Mills quickly returned to the ruins. As the champion of the motocross race in the village, the complex terrain gave him an advantage. He skillfully maneuvered through the rough patches without much effort, periodically glancing back to ensure the mechanical dog wasn't following. How would the robot dog escape such an obvious challenge? How could it endure? Locking onto the prey ahead, he accelerated. One sharp turn, an attack that hadn't been fully executed yet, and then he followed up with another ambush. Mills spun on the spot, performing a perfect drift and widening the gap with the robot dog. He sped up towards the slope ahead and soared high. Unwilling to show weakness, the robot dog boosted to follow him in a fierce pursuit. Suddenly, they were airborne, a man and a dog flipping in the air before both crashed heavily to the ground. The robot dog tumbled and crawled into a pile of trash, while Mills hurriedly followed and stopped his ride. Curious to see what exactly it was, he saw it, motionless. Carefully, he approached to inspect. A thick steel tendon pierced through its entire body, making it completely immobile. Curiously, Mills removed his visor to take a look. The robot dog exposed its alloy eyes. Facing Mills like a blade to flesh, the robot dog decisively activated self-preservation mode. A mere 20-second countdown began. However, blissfully ignorant, Mills removed his helmet and tried to comfort the robot dog, finally sensing goodwill from it. In the final second, the robot dog deactivated the countdown. Mills didn't realize how close he was to danger. Marveling at the sophisticated technology, the robot dog seemed to lose its combat capabilities. Brutally, he helped pull out that steel tendon. The robot dog's eyes flickered briefly with flames. Then, another scan detected the mobile phone on Mills. It immediately sent a message. The robot dog's name is XL, and it needs urgent repair, attaching a damage report and repair method. As a car repairman's son and motocross champion, modifications and repairs were basic skills for him. Still, the robot dog's body had its own repair equipment, but it was evident it was terribly damaged. Meanwhile, it constantly reminded Mills of its unusual past. The repair process lasted the entire night. Mills disassembled the bike's outer shell to patch up the robot dog, and the repair was finally complete. To test his work, he took the robot dog's fuel tank, which was the reason it attacked him last night. Its fuel was nearly exhausted. Fully restored, Mills was hardly affected. It's so refreshing to pour the remaining gasoline into him. The lubricated machine dog is in great spirits, like a real dog, easily sniffing it. He then lowers his head to grab the chips from the motion camera, to further collect Miles's data, feeling the lightness of the machine dog. Miles carefully removes the machine dog's muzzle, revealing its full set of gear teeth, all itching to go. The fully freed machine dog dances around excitedly, aiming its head shield at Miles, wanting another nice round with him. A warrior never shies away from a challenge, especially with such an interesting opponent. The small abandoned construction site became their playground. Navigating through the natural tunnels made of packing boxes, they paused briefly to accelerate, leaping up joyfully and flying forward together, human and dog in perfect harmony. In this small and abandoned place, they joyfully let loose their emotions. The chaotic environment wasn't a barrier, but rather a convenience to show off their strengths. The machine dog lunged forward, rolling over, and Miles struck a beautiful pose. They then jumped together up the high slope, crossed paths in the air, and ended this thrilling friendly match. An intense sports contest. Human and dog completely let go of their guard against each other. In the vast wilderness, they exuberantly yelled at the sky, but didn't notice a swarm of dense drones flying above. The machine dog is a military-developed secret weapon, currently in research. It sneaked out, controlled by a mechanism under the military's Crytek, but the scientists hadn't yet armed it. Gaining self-awareness, it escaped, and the military's investment of billions of dollars couldn't achieve their goal as the delivery date loomed. The scientists, claiming everything was fine, secretly released many drones for searching. An assistant finally found the machine dog's tracks. The Alliance wanted to send drones to retrieve it, but the scientists stopped them, saying they hadn't tested the man-machine interaction yet. Now is the time.
Are you kidding me? He's going to destroy that kid any second
But
now.
the scientists didn't care about the boy's life. To them, the experiment was paramount. Exhausted, Miles was in a small car, not realizing it was his beloved drone, Tesla. Seeing Fu Xiao's oil pipe video, he instantly understood the reason behind everything. He wasn't Fu Xiao's girlfriend, just his mother serving as a surrogate here. He could only follow his mother, but now, he confidently asked Fu Xiao for the address, immediately drove there, and waved. However, the war-born machine dog took this as an intrusion. Without saying a word, it ran. Tesla, frightened, screamed and quickly hid in the car. The machine dog, without hesitation, ran over, jumped to the rear car window, preventing the car from moving, then barked loudly, summoning Miles. Miles was astounded by the goddess, and rushed over to stop the robot dog. He emphasized repeatedly that this was their friend. Thanks to his persistent efforts, Sarah finally stopped being afraid of the robot dog. The robot dog also eventually accepted Sarah, marking her as friendly, and recording all her biological information. Miles was overjoyed that the goddess accepted her. Sarah indeed felt assured by him, but at that moment, he was more worried about something else. The robot dog's appearance was extraordinarily unusual, and the biggest possibility was that it was a secret military weapon. Keeping it could invite disaster. He asked Miles to return the robot dog, but how could Miles agree? The bullet scars on the robot dog showed it had been subjected to inhuman abuse. Its master was absolutely not afraid of it. As night gradually deepened, the two youthful spirits bumped into each other, drawing closer. The atmosphere suddenly became ambiguous. The robot dog, sitting dully on the side, immediately activated its Bluetooth device, connecting to Sarah's phone and playing some upbeat music. Sarah, feeling excited, pulled Miles to dance. The robot dog immediately projected holograms, enhancing the atmosphere. The charming night was intoxicating. With family and a guardian dog, what more could one ask for in life? But happy times are always fleeting. Behind the scenes, the assistant had already investigated their 3 generations of ancestry. Sarah had already been accepted into a prestigious university, but her mother was burdened with debts, as were Miles' parents, completely unable to support the children's education. The assistant thinks they can get some money back. The scientist sees the dog's rapid development, stops this unexpected experiment. This level of progress will push forward within 5 years. The next day, with the dog's help, they successfully got the car running. However, this dog is not a stray. Where to take it or adopt it is a problem. At this moment, Sarah thought of her secret base. She believed she could hide it there. The loyal dog won't leave. Without a word, jumped in the trunk covered in white cloth and left. On the way to the gas station, the dog surprised them. Its eyes fixed on the fuel dispenser easily infiltrated the system and filled the tank without any cost. An even bigger surprise was when it infiltrated the ATM, causing countless bills to fly out. Although excited, they started to panic. They hurriedly took all the money and left. Quickly left. Antishiwanaya. Sarah's secret base was an abandoned house, its walls full of her paintings. Whenever she got bored, she'd come here to paint. The dog curiously scanned Sarah's moves, then started projecting countless 3D lines of her art. Hyde scanned Sarah's actions and accidentally triggered an unlocking key for the database. The dog immediately shut down the lines and played the database contents. The military aimed to create a powerful and loyal soldier. It could bond with designated soldiers, becoming their true companion, and link with external devices to enhance mobility and combat abilities. Not only that, it could carry different weapons for various combat environments. Finally, it had a self-destruct feature to prevent capture. The 2 teenagers were amazed and stunned by the Salt Gang, making the robot dog take notice. The robot dog obediently followed commands but quickly sprang into action as soon as the administrator Sharla pressed the key. She worried, telling him not to mess with Miles. Yet, he immediately started the recognition ceremony, fearing an unknown risk more than a monotonous life. Suddenly, a sharp pain hit him as his finger was pricked and a drop of fresh blood appeared. This was the robot dog verifying him as its low-level owner. From then on, Miles would be its only master. Things were starting to get out of control, but the scientist didn't mention anything at all. However, it just meant that the robot had one more master, nothing more. When the time came, humans and dogs could take them back together. Just then, the assistant suddenly noticed vehicles approaching them. It was the rich kid Sharla's convoy violating regulations late at night, which made her so angry that she called up his mother. Using the mobile phone's location feature, they discovered the area. The rich kid thought Sharla had betrayed him, so he spoke many accusatory and angry words. But he didn't want to bring out Miles, who was hiding nearby. This is what they call a vengeful face-off. As soon as they met, the two were ready to fight.
This is too far away. We need to find a team to go in and meet them now.
Let's see how this team performs. The rich kid was crushed to the ground. Sharla instructed the team to turn towards Miles but felt a sense of relief. However, he wouldn't really kill the rich kid, so he ordered the robot dog to drag him over. The robot dog obediently opened its claws, holding the boy's leg with its mouth, and dragged him to Miles. The once high and mighty Scion now lay on the ground like a dead dog, fiercely stared at by Miles. Miles warned the rich kid not to bother Shayla again.
Please leave a like,
Only
subscribe,
after
share,
he
support
begged
me
for
to the end of this
forgiveness did
program.
Miles let the robot dog release him. A casual remark from Miles made the robot dog mistake the rich kid for a friend, adding him to those it would protect. Little did anyone know that this act would lead to disaster. The assistant who observed the whole incident was terrified. Miles snapped, threatening lives, but the scientist remained unmoved.
Maybe you forgot about this business venture.
Miles got mad at me after his dad's outburst. I live with him and my mom works for them. They pay for my grandma's hospital bills. The moment you showed strength, you acted all high and mighty.
You just dropped bombs all over a situation my family's been dealing with our entire lives.
Life isn't just about poetry and dreams. Right now we have real problems. A mechanical dog built for war can't change their poverty.
I wish you peace and
However,
safety.
Sarah was indifferent. She felt nothing for that rude
I
prince.
won't leave you, Miles, and I won't leave you either.
Miles' issue was quickly forgotten by the two, but now the mechanical dog had no way to forget anything. Figuring out what to do with it is the most important thing right now. Sarah thinks Miles should talk to his dad, who believed the military should take back the mechanical dog. It's a war machine and not something for civilians, but how could Miles let it go? He argued that they'd turn it into a murder weapon. The army's job is to both protect and kill.
Being inflection squad.
Oh, so they didn't attack right away. But the city's scientists were panicking. If the dog were to be destroyed, they would have to inform the military. The special agents would take at least 2.5 hours to arrive, and all they could do was hope the mechanical dog stayed safe. However, the major wouldn't give them that much time. As he walked the path, spilling gasoline, he dropped an olive and tried to lure the mechanical dog into the fuel. The cameraman was scared, fearing an imminent rampage. The major didn't know where his confidence came from, but believed the mechanical dog would not attack him, retrieving his prepared flamethrower from the car. Back through the narrow passage, the robodog detected danger and felt full of malice. Now, it managed to close its eye shield just in time before being engulfed in an inferno.
Don't forget to share and give a like, and remember to
The
subscribe
narrow
to our
confines
channel to
prevented
get the
any
latest
escape,
updates.
and it could only endure the scorching heat. When Miles and Sarah rushed in, the robodog was already in a terrible state. They wanted to repair it but didn't know where to start. Luckily, the core intelligence was still intact and Bluetooth was functional enough for it to connect back to Miles's phone and provide a repair plan. The two of them lifted the robodog into the car and drove to a 3D printing company as directed. The robodog showcased its agility and opened the company's main door. They quickly drove inside and secured the robodog on a workbench. With great care, they cleaned it and welded every broken circuit meticulously, then printed all damaged parts for repair. After a few hours of non-stop restoration by the two, the robodog was finally back to normal. However, due to the large number of replaced parts, it needed to be rebooted to function again. Rebooting would take 2.5 hours, which seemed short. What they didn't realize was that scientists, fearing another incident, had sent agents to retrieve the robodog. Just as they left home, an agent found Miles' father and forced him to hand over control of the robodog. Although Miles had accidentally left the keys at home, the seemingly honest mechanic did something strange. Despite not seeing any police badge or search warrant, he forcefully restrained the agent. This drove the scientists into a frenzy, causing them to instruct the other agents to retrieve the robodog at any cost. Seeing the scientists losing control, an assistant finally opted for clarity and took action. A report was immediately sent to the Ministry of Defense. Meanwhile, two agents secretively infiltrated the place, but the sound of the rolling door closing alarmed them. They took a step ahead. The two agents searched around carefully. Seeing no one around, they prioritized retrieving the robodog. The reboot progress had reached 98%, then jumped to 99%. Just a minute later, it would be fully restored. Silently, Miles picked up a wrench, hiding it in his hand. As the agents were trying to fit a muzzle on the robodog, he hurled it forcefully. The noise startled the two agents. However, within mere seconds, the robodog completed its reboot. A headbutt took care of one agent. The other agent quickly grabbed a specialized firearm, continuously shooting electric currents to restrain the robodog. Seeing his beloved pet hurt, Miles rushed over, pounced on the agent, and Sarah quickly picked up the firearm to take control. The robodog's red eyes turned back, but before it could recognize the agent, the AI core was overwritten by a memory overlay in an instant. That's not only going to destroy it, but they even plan to go after its owner. That's intolerable. The robot dog, in a fit of rage, turned around and left. The Vice Minister is definitely done for. Even God can't save him. As soon as Fu Shao arrived at the gas station, he felt a chill on his head. It felt like something was staring at him. Everyone hurried away without noticing the steel feet on the roof and the mechanical ticking sound. Staring at the departing cars, he slightly adjusted his direction and quietly followed Fu Shao, a celebrity in this small town. Fu Shao quickly forgot what just happened and began the ceremony with great fanfare. Unbeknownst to him, a little cameraman responsible for filming first discovered the presence of the mechanical dog and screamed in terror. The mechanical dog angrily barked and then charged down, causing chaos at the scene. People screamed and scattered, but the mechanical dog only had its sights set on Fu Shao. Ducking under a car, the quick-witted Fu Shao managed to shield himself from its attack, temporarily escaping harm. However, just when he thought he was safe, the mechanical dog's massive head extended towards him, its foot smashing through a car's floor. With each strike piercing the car's floor, Fu Shao's frantic dodging miraculously allowed him to escape. At that moment, Miles and Shara finally arrived. The revenge code took over its chip, provoking a furious attack. They continued to chase Fu Shao. When the flamethrower failed, the mechanical dog attacked again, only to be blocked by Miles. After a long struggle, he regained his composure and let out a reluctant sigh. But before they could catch their breath, an even greater danger loomed. Thank you. Tightly glued to its back, Miles protected Shara, but couldn't comprehend what was happening. He then saw the drones releasing a strong electric current, paralyzing the mechanical dog. No matter how it struggled, it was hopeless, as it gradually lost power, following dozens of special agents charging in from the darkness. Miles and Shara were also controlled. Someone then muzzled the mechanical dog, sealed them in a factory. Now, even if the scientists reinstalled its chip, it couldn't change reality. He ordered Miles to hand over the manager's keys to reinitiate control. However, Miles had already accepted the mechanical dog as a companion, leaving him at a loss. So, the scientist had his assistant bring Sarah into a cage made of lasers, trapping her instantly.
What are you doing? One step outside this box, and your little friend will attack
Doubtful,
you.
Sarah tested it and was immediately pushed back by the robot dog. But she didn't give up. She kept trying to figure out ways to circle around it, testing the robot dog's attack range and characteristics. Quickly, she grabbed another laser pen from the side and swiftly returned to the safety zone, waving the pen and drawing a feather-like shape in the air. She remembered that this could unlock its database. Let's continue. Unexpectedly, the robot dog successfully restored all data. All memories instantly vanished. It dropped its head bolts, ready to attack its creator, but was stopped by the Mike Alliance. Unwilling to see his companion become a killing machine, the scientist panicked and ran out of the lab, only to run into a group of soldiers with revolvers. Without a word, they took him away. Shocked, the scientist realized the assistant had betrayed him. The Alliance's loud broadcast echoed throughout the research facility, ordering Mike's immediate return. Otherwise, it will be taken away as military conduct. Sarah understood she couldn't stop it. So, after saying goodbye to the artist dog, she stood at the entrance, acting as a decoy, as the yellow twilight rolled in through the door. A group of soldiers with revolvers appeared in front of Sarah. Without hesitation, she raised her hands, and the tense atmosphere immediately eased. Two soldiers quickly approached and took her away. The artist dog seized the opportunity to rush out. Without delay, it broke through the encirclement, and easily escaped, then rapidly climbed the plateau, scaling high obstacles and quickly escaping to the nearby mountainside. However, individual power cannot possibly resist national machinery. Appeals for air support were immediately made. When necessary, real bullets could be fired. The assistant replaced the scientist's role, sharing the robot fighter's location with all teams for potential real bullet firing. No matter how they struggled, they couldn't hold out. But if they chose to surrender, once they started, they wouldn't run. The artist dog and the individual speeded along the narrow mountain path, sprinting by the steep cliffs. The helicopter chased them and then slowly approached. The robot dog looked at the helicopter in the sky, feeling immense pressure. It quickly called up the nearby 3D terrain to plan an escape route. After 900 meters, this route would be blocked off, leaving only one escape route, jumping down a 100-meter high slope. As Miles raced along the mountain path, the robot dog's shared vision was following. The incoming message said to jump off a 180-meter high cliff. Even for him, this was a huge challenge, but they had no other choice. The cliff edge was right in front of them. Everyone was anxiously watching the footage live. Then they made the appointment without any hesitation.
Oh.
The robotic dog stood up unscathed, but Miles had a dislocated shoulder, flesh torn from bone. Ultimately, he was too fragile. The robotic dog looked up and saw the drones hovering in front of them, and countless others firing. Rushing over quickly, Miles understood that his presence would only slow down the beloved dog. He commanded it to run away alone, to ensure the safety of the manager, which was above all. Quickly, he realized that leaving was the best protection, and he instantly ran towards the distant drones, willing to die if necessary. He switched to combat mode, but being unarmed, he was as helpless as a toothless tiger, allowing the dog to escape. Numerous drones swarmed around him, sticking to his body and delivering powerful electric shocks, making it hard for him to keep moving. The robotic dog knew it was a hopeless situation. It began uploading its data, sharing the business of love with Miles, feeling the powerlessness of a single person. More and more drones swarmed it. The robotic dog bit a few apart, but it was futile. Its movements became erratic until it finally had to stop. By then, it was far from Miles. The robotic dog stared at him lifelessly. The UAV started a countdown that lasted only 20 seconds. Approaching the explosion, he took one last glance back at Miles. The aircraft sped off with a lonely wail. Afterwards, the military did not pursue responsibilities. Instead, they spent millions of US dollars to seal the related personnel's lips and pay for their college tuition. Because scientists had not concluded the ongoing experiments, the remaining robotic dog data on the dark web would be automatically deleted. Soon, he would return to Miles. The military would continue to follow them closely, but scientists would not be restricted, as the military still needed weapons research. However, his personal freedom would be limited, and meanwhile, Miles, pretending to be on vacation by the sea, received a letter from his father. He used fingerprint recognition to open the caretaker's key he had forgotten at home. As soon as he opened it, the phone beside him rang. The Autobots are rapidly gearing up, confident they will be back in no time.